showing up and playing Zenyatta and Sombra Tracer or Winston to Reaper Bastion isn't a virtue. What is going to help you improve is going, this is a bad matchup for me. What are some adjustments that I can actually make to figure out the situation? You have to try things. You have to think and be like, okay, what adaptations do I make here? Here's the thing is you talked about like how you're trying to play like Winston into the Reaper Bastion stuff. Like you're always playing like Winston, you play whatever, and then they're going to go Reaper Bastion, they're going to get hard counted, but you're like, I'm not going to swap, I'm going to figure it out. Now, you've got the first step. The first step is actually putting yourself in these suboptimal situations, or situations that are not even suboptimal, but it's slightly more difficult, and then trying to figure out what do I need to do to work our way around that. The problem is then in your forum you said I have a tendency to like autopilot in those situations, and then even in those games like you were saying where like there's stomps and they're spawn holding the door, I'm just gonna stay Winston and figure it out. But like tenacity is not the same thing as adaptability. So it's really important that you don't just show up and pretend that that's a virtue in of itself. We'll just say learning for the like. So in other words, when you play Winston into Reaper Bastion, you don't get an award, right? When you show up to the swim meet, you don't get an award. You have to actually put in the effort, and you have to actually try. So if you're playing Winston into Reaper Bastion, or like the game you're getting spawn holding, you don't get the you don't get the gold star for doing that. You get the gold star for doing like showing up and then actually trying stuff. Now, whether it's the autopilot that's to blame, whether it's the attitude or getting frustrated, your team getting spawn camped, whether it's like you just ignorance, like I don't know what to do versus Reaper Bastion as Winston, that's to blame, it doesn't matter. So let me ask you, when you're put in these circumstances where your team is getting spawn camped, you're getting hard countered, you don't know how to play the map, you show up, you pick Winston, congratulations, you got the first step right. What's the second step?
I guess identifying what my job is to do and then figuring out a way to do it.
Okay. You just said the most important word that you just said was figure. Okay. What does that mean?
Make a plan.
Right, make a plan. Do you know what that plan will always be? You're not just showing up and pressing shift, right? You're actually thinking about it and actually trying to improve. And that's like why so many Winston players never like get past it. And really anybody, Zenyatta players versus Tracer Sombra, they never figure it out. They just go Moira, they give up, right? You have to at least showing up and playing Zenyatta into Sombra Tracer or Winston to Reaper Bastion isn't a virtue. What is going to help you improve is going, this is a bad matchup for me. What are some adjustments that I can actually make to figure out the situation? You have to try things. You have to think and be like, okay, what adaptations do I make here? I cannot tell you how many times that what tilts me in my ranked games is somebody gets countered, and not that they don't swap, it's that they do the exact same thing without changing. That's what annoys me. And that's what should annoy you too, is when you go, I go Winston and I'm playing into Reaper Bastion, they go from Widowmaker to Reaper and I don't change anything. I play the exact same way. That can never happen, because not only does that show that you're gonna lose the game and you're not gonna get anything out of it, but it also shows you, it's like a red flag for what your mindset is in the game. You're not alert, you're not thinking. Right? I don't care if they go from Widowmaker to Hanzo. You still die of the Hanzo, but you should be thinking, what does that change? Does that change anything? Right? A little bit, right? Every swap that they make, every map that you take. So like for you, it's like it's that alertness and that effort that's required. For some people, that's going to be exhausting. That's why we often limit the amount of conscious practice that we do. For some people, that's going to be where the fun of the game is. And without it, the game's not fun. Without feeling like it's a chess match every single time. That challenge is what's fun. What frustrates people is when they don't have the answer to it and they don't know what to do and they feel lost. But the solution to that isn't just to buy a coaching session every week. The solution to that is to figure it out. Somebody had to figure it out. Somebody had to coach it, right? So if you don't know what the answer is, try things. Limit test. Feed for half a dozen games. But at least you're learning something. You kind of see what I'm saying?
No, yeah, totally. I think this chess thing you mentioned is like really important to me.
You have to be able to do it, because especially when you play with Winston, you don't just show up with Winston and win the game. You have to. He is a thinking man's hero. He is a remarkable skill ceiling here. There's so much that you can get done with Winston, but he's hard. So if you don't think about it and try stuff, you're gonna get stuck. You're gonna get stuck.